I took Google's 8-hour GenAI Leadership course, so you don't have to. And once we've gone through the condensed version, I'll share a bonus at the end, outlining the exact steps to follow if you want to pass Google's official certification exam. I'm Ali Salim. I currently work as a director in a tech company. And on this channel, I'll help you turn tech and finance into your personal advantage. Let's go. The course is structured into 5 modules. The first module explores the full capabilities of generative AI. The second module unlocks foundational concepts of generative AI by defining it and differentiating it from AI and machine learning. The third module provides a comprehensive overview of the GenAI landscape. The fourth module teaches you how to use GenAI apps by covering key prompting techniques and concepts like grounding and retrieval augmented generation to transform your work. And the last module explores how to build and deploy generative AI agents, covering their core components, advanced techniques, and outlining a plan for transforming your organization. Module 1 is called GenAI Beyond the Chatbot. Let's kick things off with a definition. Generative AI is a specific type of AI that focuses on generating new content and ideas. It's multimodal, meaning that it can work with text, images, code, and more. And Google groups its capabilities into 4 categories: the ability to create new content, summarize information, discover information at the right time, and automate tasks that used to be manual. And at the core of these capabilities are something called foundational models. Examples would be Google's Gemini, OpenAI's GPT, or Anthropic's Claude. And if you're wondering how foundational models fits into the broader landscape of artificial intelligence, don't worry about it, we'll cover that in Module 2. But for now, just remember that foundational models share 3 key features. They are trained on diverse data, making them flexible across many use cases, but at the same time, adaptable to niche domains through targeted training. So trained on diverse data, flexible and adaptable. And the way we interact with them is through something called prompting, which is essentially what you do when you're talking to ChatGPT, either in the chat or through your voice. Now, since this is a Google course, there are 2 key products that you need to be aware of. And first is Gemini, which is the foundational model behind Gemini the app, which is Google's equivalent of ChatGPT. It also powers workspace integrations like Docs, Gmail, and Slides, where you can draft emails, generate images, or just summarize notes. Also, Gemini powers Google's cloud service, where it helps you write and debug code or analyze large amounts of data in BigQuery. And the second product that you need to be aware of is a product called Vertex AI, which is Google's unified machine learning platform. It gives you access to models like Gemini and lets you fine-tune them and eventually drop them into production. And if you haven't heard about Vertex AI, don't worry about it. It's mainly an offering that is targeted against businesses rather than retail. And lastly, on Module 1 are 2 more high-level topics that you need to be aware of. The first is that Google calls itself an AI-first company. That means that AI is integrated across their ecosystem, built with security and ethics at its core, and most importantly for you, is that they advocate for an open approach, which is awesome. It essentially means that you're not locked into using models like Gemini. Instead, you can plug in other models like GPT, Claude, or Llama when you're setting up your AI workflows in Google's ecosystem. And the second high-level topic comes down to the strategy of how you apply AI adoption in your company. Google advocates a combined top-down and bottom-up approach, where leaders set the vision and priority of what AI should achieve, whereas employees on the ground try to identify practical applications of AI within their workspace and feed them up. When done right, these 2 streams will help reinforce each other. Moving on to Module 2, which is called Unlock Foundational Concepts. And this module is all about connecting all of those different terms that you've heard in AI and showing how they all fit together. And we'll start at the top. Artificial intelligence is simply machines doing tasks that would normally require human-level intelligence. Inside AI, you have machine learning, which are algorithms that learn from data to perform specific tasks. And a subset of machine learning is called deep learning, which uses multi-layered neural networks to identify complex patterns. And within this space, you will find generative AI, which again are machine learning that focuses on creating new content. And at the core are the foundational models, which are machine learning models that are trained to execute various different tasks. And lastly, a subset of those are large language models, which are specifically designed to understand and generate human language. Now let's talk about the fuel for these models, which is data. And really there are two types of data. You have structured data, which is clean, organized, oftentimes divided into columns and rows. Think about databases or spreadsheets. And then you have the other type of data, which is oftentimes referred to as unstructured data. This is usually raw, messy data that doesn't have a predefined structure. Think about data like customer emails, social media posts, or call transcripts. And our AI models can of course work with both. But what really matters are two things. And the first is quality of the data. As famously said by someone very smart, garbage in equals garbage out. And the second thing is accessibility, meaning that the data needs to be available at the right time in the right format. Now, the data can include numbers, dates, text, images, even sound, but it needs to comply with these two conditions. And once we have the right data, models can start to learn using one of three approaches. The first is called supervised learning, where models are trained on labeled data to predict outcomes. And the second approach is called unsupervised learning, where models get trained on unstructured data to try and find complex patterns. And the last approach is called reinforcement learning, where models learn through trial and error and feedback loops. And by the way, if you're a nerd like me, reinforcement learning is what powered those StarCraft and Dota bots a couple of years ago that ended up beating all the pro players. Anyways, I digress. Let's talk about how all of this fits into practice. Google frames the machine learning lifecycle into 4 stages. First, you have data preparation, where you collect, clean, and transform raw data. From there, you do your model training, which essentially builds your model based on the data. Third step is deployment, where you put your model in production. And lastly is management, where you monitor, maintain, and improve your model over time. So, in short, Module 2 connects the dots. What AI really is, how data drives it, and the way machines learn. Kind of like a simple roadmap that makes everything in the Gen AI space feel less confusing. Module 3 is called Navigating the Landscape, and it covers 2 main topics. First is what you need to consider before starting a Gen AI project, and second are the 5 layers of the AI landscape. Before starting any Gen AI project, Google says that you should assess 2 areas: needs and resources. And it breaks down the needs into 6 categories for evaluation. First is scale. And scale refers to the overall breadth of the use case across the organization, such as the number of users, data volume, and workflows. Second is customization. How tailored does the AI need to be in order to fit your organizational needs? Is general purpose models enough, or do you need something that is fine-tuned? And third is user interactions. How are people going to engage with the AI? Will it be through a chat? Will it be embedded into certain workflows, or will it just run automatically in the background? And fourth is privacy. How sensitive is the data that is going to be involved in the workflow? Is it public information, internal knowledge, or regulated data like in healthcare or finance? Fifth is latency. So how fast does the AI need to respond? Is a few seconds okay, or do you need something that is real time? And the last topic is connectivity, which are the network conditions that the model needs to run under. Will it always be cloud connected? Or does it need to function in low connectivity devices such as factories, fieldwork, or maybe even edge devices? Shifting gear into the second assessment category, which are your resources. This is actually super straightforward. It boils down to people, money, and time. So do you have access to the right talent, such as AI expertise? What's your project budget? And what's the project timeline? And really, that's the list to consider if you're going to start an AI project. Let's take a look at the second part of the module, which covers the 5 layers of the AI landscape. The first layer is Gen AI powered applications. This layer you're likely very familiar with. It's going to be your Claude, ChatGPT, Llama, and friends. One level deeper are the agents. They are autonomous systems that use foundational models to reason and act. They operate in reasoning loops, observing, interpreting, and iterating. They use tools to interact with data, software, and hardware, and they rely on models such as ChatGPT as the brain of the system. And an example here could be as simple as an AI assistant that researches prospects and updates CRM once it's found the relevant information. From there, you have platforms. These are managed environments that provides the tools and infrastructure to build, deploy, and manage AI. And here's where Vertex AI comes in. It will let you do two key things. First is Model Garden, which lets you pick Google models, third-party options, or even open source models. And really, this is a nod to Google's approach to openness when it comes to AI, which we discussed in the first module. Either fully custom at scale with various machine learning frameworks, or via something called AutoML, which automates creation and training of your models for users with limited technical knowledge. The fourth layer are the models, which is the core engines like Gemini. And it's important to distinguish. Gemini, the model, powers applications, while Gemini, the app, is the interface you interact with when you are chatting with it in your browser. And the last layer is the infrastructure layer. The foundational GPUs, TPUs, and servers. Most of it runs in the cloud, but sometimes you'll hear about edge AI, where compute happens locally on the device. And a good example use case is self-driving cars, which just can't afford cloud latency when making split decisions. So navigating the AI landscape means checking your needs and resources first. Then understanding the 5 layers powering the AI landscape, from the apps that you and me use all the way down to the infrastructure. Quick pause, I have a favor to ask. If you're enjoying the video so far, you should consider becoming a part of the small but very exclusive group of around 5% of viewers that have subscribed so far. And if you've already subscribed, I just want to say thank you. You're the reason why this channel can keep growing and keep getting better. Next is Module 4, which is called Transform Your Work. And Module 4 is about how to actually work with Gen AI in practice through better prompting, refining outputs, and streamlining workflows. Let's talk about prompting techniques. And again, prompting is simply how you talk to the model, like when you use ChatGPT or Gemini. And Google highlights 3 key techniques. First is to assign a role. So give the model a persona. For example, act as a lawyer or act as a sales coach. This changes its tone, style, and focus. The second technique is something called prompt chaining. Don't expect a perfect answer in one prompt. Instead, treat it like a back and forth conversation, refining the outputs in a step-by-step manner. And the next technique is something called 0, 1, or few shotting. In the world of AI, the word shot refers to the number of examples that you provide in your prompt. So for example, 0 shot means no example, and that's great for simple tasks. 1 shot means that you provide 1 example, which is great if you want to give your model a bit of context. And lastly, few shot means multiple examples, and this is great for complex tasks. So role assignment, prompt chaining, and shot selection. Those are essentially your 3 levers. Next in Module 4 is model guidance and refinement. And the key concept here is something called grounding. It essentially means reducing a model's hallucination by connecting the AI to real, verifiable sources of information. And the most common method of grounding is something called RAG, which is short for Retrieval Augmented Generation. Step 1 is retrieve, where the model retrieves relevant information from external sources. And step 2 is augment, where the retrieved information is incorporated into the prompt of the large language model. And step 3 is generate, where the LLM processes the prompt and generates a response. And the last topic for Module 4 is that Google recommends ways to make prompting more efficient and repeatable. In summary, it comes down to 3 things. First is reusing prompts. Store your best prompts as templates. Second is used save info in Gemini. You can store context in the model so you can recall it consistently. And the third is to explore gems. This is essentially a personalized AI assistant inside Gemini that bundles templates, instructions, and guided interactions into one workflow. So, Module 4 is all about control. Prompting well, grounding your outputs, and streamlining your workflows so that AI becomes a reliable teammate instead of just a novelty. And with that, let's shift into the last module of the course called Transform Your Organization. And Module 5 goes one level deeper on agents, reasoning, tooling, and customer engagements. Starting off on the agents, Google categorizes them into two main types. You have deterministic agents that are traditional rule-based systems that follow a strict predefined script. They are predictable and designed for specific tasks with a limited set of actions, but lack flexibility to handle unexpected inputs. Think of simple chatbots, like only respond to commands like check order status. And the second type is generative AI, and they are built on large language models. These agents use natural language and can reason, learn, and adapt on the fly. Their behavior is not hard-coded. Instead, they generate responses dynamically, leading to a more conversational and adaptive style of interaction. Think of an AI assistant that can brainstorm ideas or write creative stories. And the key distinction is that deterministic agents follow a rigid script, while generative agents reason and respond dynamically. And the enabler of that flexibility in generative agents is through something called a reasoning loop. And the reasoning loop is how it thinks through a problem to find the solution. It's all about using different thinking styles to get to the right answer. And Google highlights 3 key styles. The first one is called React, short for reason and act. Think of React as the agent who reasons out their next move before taking action. For example, if you ask an agent to find a good restaurant, it first reasons, I need to find a place that is highly rated and nearby, and then it acts by using a search tool to find one. This loop of reasoning and acting helps it tackle really complex questions. And the second thinking style is something called chain of thought. Think of an agent who is thinking out its thought process step by step, instead of just jumping straight to the final answer. The agent breaks down a larger problem into smaller logical steps. For example, solve a tricky math problem, and the agent would first show how it adds the numbers and then how it subtracts it in the next line, etc. This approach makes the reasoning visible and more accurate. And the last thinking style is something called meta-prompting. Very advanced word. This is the equivalent of an agent who tells a junior agent how to do their job. And it's using one prompt to guide the AI to create, change, or understand other prompts. It's a powerful technique for fine-tuning the AI's behavior and to make sure that it follows a specific instruction more precisely. Now, in order for an AI to have the ability to act, it needs access to tools, bringing us into the next key concept within the module, which is tooling for agents. And Google boils them down into 4 categories. First, you have extensions. And an extension could, for example, connect the agent to a live weather API to get the current forecast. Second is function. And a function allows the agent to execute a specific action, like sending a confirmation text. Third is data stores. And a data store provides the agent with access to a company's product catalog, for example, to answer customer questions. And lastly, you have the plugins. And a plugin gives the agent a new capability, such as generating an image from a text description. And together, they all make agents not just conversational, but actually useful in real workflows. And the last piece outlines one of Google's core offerings that applies all of this in practice, and that is the Customer Engagement Suite. This suite provides tools to help a company effectively engage with its customer and can be built directly on top of Google's Contact Center as a service, and it really has 3 main features. The first is conversational agents. Those are AI chatbots that acts as first-line support for your customers. The second is Agent Assist, which is a feature to support your live human agents during customer interactions. And the last piece is something called Conversational Insights, which at its core provides analytics on your customer communication to help you draw deeper insights. So, Module 5 shows how agents go from simple scripts to adaptive systems with reasoning, tools, integration, and how Google is packaging this into an enterprise solution. And that is the 8-hour course summarized for you in a few minutes. Now, if you're planning to take the certification exam, you will want to have a plan in place. I'll tell you what I did to pass and what I would do differently if I were to do it again. The exam was not easy. I wouldn't say it was super difficult. I'd probably put it in the moderate difficulty level, but you will definitely need to get prepared. So I'll give you a 3-step approach. Step 1 is to skim through the official course plus the study guide and flag the areas where you feel less confident. For me, that was definitely Google's own offerings. Things like Vertex AI and Agent Space, which I honestly didn't have that much exposure to before. So I had to spend quite a bit of time familiarizing myself with them. I'll leave a link to the course and the study guide in the description, and then I'll also pin it in the chat. Step 2 is to do the tests in each course module. That will help you lock in the fundamentals. From there, you can move over to Google's official mock test to get a feel for the full exam. And I'll leave a link for it in the description and in the chat as well. And step 3 is to build the mileage. So Google's module tests and mock exams alone won't be enough. You will need additional practice content. So find online tests to practice. I use something called SkillCert Pro, which costs around $20 for a bunch of practice tests. I'm not affiliated. In fact, I have never heard about them before. It's just a path I took, so in case you want to do the same, I'll leave the link for that in the description as well. All right, let's shift gear into some general good to knows about the exam. So the exam itself is 90 minutes long with around 40 to 60 scenario-based questions. That means that they will come in the format of something like you are working for a pharmaceutical company that deployed AI agents to summarize client data. Analysts say that the summaries are inaccurate. What do you do about it? And from there, you get to choose from 4 options. Here's my top tip. Don't just go skimming down into the answers for which option is most likely to be true. Instead, try to imagine that it's your boss or your customer asking the same question. Think about what you default into being the right answer. That way of approaching it is much more effective than skimming for the most probable test answers. Because what I can tell you is when you do the mock exam or the module exams, the options that is going to be handed to you are actually super obvious. You could probably just skip going through the course and you'll probably strike the right one anyways. When you're doing the real test, the answer is not going to be blatantly staring in your face. So you need to be really prepared to figure out which of the potential options is the right one. In my case, I did the course and then I spent an additional 2-3 hours on the mock tests. I passed, but honestly, I was not feeling very confident about myself going through the test, and I would not recommend doing so little. If you put in the time and follow the steps that I outlined earlier, I'm sure that you're gonna pull off a home run on the exam. And if you enjoyed this episode, hit like and let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more summaries like this. And if not, let me know that too. This channel is for you, so your feedback really matters. And as always, thank you for trusting me with your time, and I'll see you in the next one.